Right, hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Let's Go Storm podcast. I'm here with Rish and Rob, and also a very special guest. We've got none other than Mr Hemel Storm himself. It's Jack Burnell. Welcome, Jack.
Thanks, guys.
No, thanks to you. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. So before we just get into it with Jack, we just wanted to welcome Hemel Storm's new signing, Romario Spence, who's a power forward from Plymouth City Patriots, 6'7", so he's certainly a big unit. And he comes with some pedigree. Been checking out his stats when he played for Oklahoma City. He's sort of averaging about 14 points a game, 10 rebounds a game. So there's certainly a caliber there, a decent caliber of player. So just wondered what your take was on that, Jack, given he signed today.
Yeah, I know Romario quite well. Played against each other for quite a few years, and we spent quite a bit of time together in the summer. And like I tried to get him to come here at various points in the summer. There was jokes and talked about it anyway, and then he got a really good look to go and play in the BBL, which hasn't quite worked out, and he's ended up on our doorstep, and it's all sorted. So he's with us moving forward. And like you said, he's 6'7". He's going to be great for us, great in our league, and just another missing piece, that we've now got. The rich get richer.
Good to hear. Yeah, I saw some of his footage from the Hoops Fix games in the summer. Yeah. He can shoot. He really can shoot.
Yeah, he's quite an all-round player. Like, he can get to the basket. He's quite strong. Obviously, he's got his height and stuff like that. He's, as you said, he can shoot. He plays defense really well, and I think a big thing with Romario is he's a really hard-working guy, like 100% all the time. He's going to hustle and stuff like that. So I think just off of that, he's going to be a great fit for our team for sure.
Good, another great acquisition then for the squad. So it's crazy.
Absolutely.
It seems like another statement signing. We don't seem to have had a summer like this before, where we've had so many what you would call like high-profile signings. It's definitely an exciting time to be a Storm player and a Storm fan.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this, could definitely be the most pieces we've had moving forward, and trying to obviously really push, as everyone's been saying, trying to push for silverware and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. It's probably the most exciting times we've had at Storm. And obviously we've had a great start leading up to now. I know Romario's coming in late, but haven't lost yet, and we keep the foot on the gas pedal for sure.
Good stuff. Right, okay, so we're just going to kick it off with a few questions then, Jack. Well, I'll say a few. We've probably got tons here, but there you go. So just to start off, how old were you when you first started playing basketball, and how did your basketball journey start?
So I've always been around basketball because of mainly my dad, obviously. He played and he coached after he played as well. And I've got a couple of aunties, my mum's sisters, they both played at a decent level, like regional England level and stuff like that. So I've always been around it. But at first I never really took it, from a young age as such, even though it was in the blood sort of thing. I was massive on football. That's all I did, is football. Played on various teams, played to quite a good level. And then it sort of all happened around, I'd say 12 years old, where I started playing a bit of basketball. I was still playing football at that point, because that was the sort of age where you could do that. Like you didn't just have to play one sport. So I was doing a bit of both. And then carried on with basketball, was playing high level football, and then I made the Hertfordshire county team at the under 13s, I think they start at. So I made that team. And then around that time, I joined a club, which was West Herts Warriors in Bushy, which is where I played for the start of my sort of basketball journey. And then made the Hertfordshire team and went to the tournament. And then from that tournament, got picked for the regional team. And then even at under 13, I then got put in the England under 15 team. This all happened within like a short space of time. And then it got to a point that, because I was really then pursuing basketball and trying to juggle football, which was still playing at a decent level, I just got to a point where I had to make that decision and go with one or the other. I couldn't commit to the levels I was playing at. And it just, at the time, basketball seemed to be ruling my life. So basketball, I took it over, basically, and I sort of hung my football boots up, as such, as they call it. And then it was just basketball there on through. I played county, regional and national level at all the age groups, which was really good. They were always really good fun as well. Even though it was getting more serious, it was still like something I look forward to every year. Doing playing in the tournaments and stuff like that was always fun. And I had some good experiences with the national team as well. Managed to get picked for a few of the teams, went abroad, got to go abroad with the national team, which was excellent. And then Hemel Storm started, I can't remember the exact dates, but once they'd established a men's program, they got a junior program started as well. And we had a bunch of players come from other clubs, sort of come together, and we basically formed a junior program from under 16. So I played Storm juniors under 16. I think it was like 4 years, because I think I was a year young under 16, if that makes sense. So I did like 15, 16, 17 and 18 with Storm, which was really good. We had some great memories from them as well. I'm still close with a lot of the guys I played with back then. A couple, obviously Nick's one of them, who I still play with. And then from there, I went to a like sixth form basketball academy for like post-16 studies, where I was there for 2 years under the coach that was running the program was Dave Titmus. You might have heard that name, who obviously helped start up Storm back in the day and stuff like that, and was coach and chairman and / all that sort of stuff for a number of years. So I went to his academy for 2 years, and then I did a third year at Barking Abbey. So I moved down to Barking, I lived down there, did a year at Barking Abbey, which was fantastic. We did Barking Abbey is one of the renowned programs in the country. Produced a lot of really good players, that have played overseas, played in the States and stuff like that. And that year we got to go, we did 2 weeks like pre-season in Madrid. And we also went to New York at Christmas, which was fantastic. And then after that was sort of when I was looking to, go to college. I had some looks to go and stuff like that, but it didn't quite work out. I'm not going to go too much into that because it's quite a long story, but I ended up falling back a bit and then ended up staying here. And then that's when I got into Russell Hoops, ended up staying and committing to Storm, and here I am, 7th season and running Russell Hoops. It's my basketball journey, basically. So that middle bit was all a bit weird. Like I was completely set on going to America. That was all I wanted to do, sort of thing. And yeah, unfortunately it didn't work out, but almost for the best, because now I've had a good setup with the business, and obviously this is my 7th year at Hemel playing men's level, so it's all good fun. I love it.
Really interesting. Jack, you mentioned the Barking program being like really good. What was the difference from where you were to that? What makes a kind of an elite program?
It's a good question. I think that one of the main things was the coaching staff they had there. Where academies were concerned and stuff like that, especially we had a really good coaching staff. Lloyd Gardner and Mark Clark, who are close with my dad and stuff like that. They started the program, and they're both, Mark's more on the women's side, has always been on the women's side of basketball, but he's currently coaching London Lions women's, and he's been heavily involved in GB basketball and all of that. Same with Lloyd. Lloyd's been part of the GB men's program, and he's now coaching in the BBL. And those two guys especially, they started that program, and they always attracted. Like, it was one of those places that just attracted the better players for whatever reason. At one point, it was the GB Institute for Basketball, so I think stuff like that helped as well. And then when I was there, James Veer was on the Met, like the boys' side, who still coaches there. He runs that program now. He was coaching on Sunday, and Ricky Broadmoor as well, who is one of the other coaches, who I lived with. I lived down there. All those guys sort of made that program what it was, and it just attracted the right kids. And then, you know, they were producing, you know, they produced a lot of Division 1 players. They way over 50. I know that for sure.
Wow.
Like decent level Division 1 women's and men's basketball players. And another big thing there is they established a women's program quite early on. So, you know, we had sort of two men's teams, 2 women's teams, girls and boys, whatever, however you want to call it. And I think that was a big thing, making it attractable for other players. It just seemed to be the place where everyone wanted to go. Like, I have kids at the moment asking me, how do I get into Barking Abbey? Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
So it's still the case now.
Yeah, it's still the case now. Absolutely. Like I have parents ask me. I've tried to get certain people in there and stuff like that. We did manage to get one of our Russell Hoops kids in there who actually played for us in the USA game. Hayden Ling, the big 7.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a long, crazy story. But he never played basketball. He was a footballer, and I saw him at a school, and he started coming along, came to Russell Hoops, came to our sessions, all this sort of stuff. Then I got I got a message from Lloyd at Barking Abbey, and they were struggling to recruit bigs. And he said, like, do you know of anyone? Is there anyone in your program? And I said, well, there's a 7'2" kid. And before I'd even finished saying that, he was like, he's in. And he ended up going to Barking Abbey, and they really helped him. And now he's currently in Spain playing and that sort of stuff. So yeah, Barking Abbey attracted a lot of players, just from the outfit that it produced and stuff like that, and the coaching stuff they had, especially James and Lloyd and everyone. They all do amazing down there.
Good stuff. So you touched on your dad, John, who's obviously Storm's director of basketball. He played for Hemel Rules sort of back in the day, sort of in the 80s, 90s. So how much of an influence has he been on your career?
Yeah, obviously he's always, we have had, obviously, a lot of people can find the father-son, you know, relationship a bit difficult at times, and 100% at times it's been, we have clashed over time. But he's really, like, he pushed me a lot when I was growing up. He was always supportive. He was always feedback. Like, even if a lot of the times, even if I did good stuff, it was never about that. It was about all the stuff I could be doing better and stuff like that. And he was constantly on my case and stuff. So it was always good having that sort of figure there with me, because he played and he coached at a good level and stuff like that. And he obviously had a really good career as a player. And, you know, people I speak to, people that played against him, people that coached with him or coached against him and stuff like that. He seems to have a bit of a rep in basketball. So I still get it now, going up and down the country, playing against various people and various coaches that have coached me, that know him, you know, that all that sort of stuff as well. But it's been really good. Like, we do have a really good relationship. We clashed a bit when he coached me, as you would, because he was, you know, he obviously always wanted the best, but at times them car journeys could be a bit quiet. Coming back to practice and stuff, he actually kicked me out of practice once. But yeah, so it's been really good. Even now, like, he's still involved. Obviously, he's got the director of basketball role at our club, so he's obviously always dealing with players, and he comes to all of the games, and he's still very heavily involved. And he's still, even now, he's always giving feedback, give me his thoughts on what I did in the game and other stuff like that, which is brilliant.
Important question then, Jack. Who would win out of you and your dad in a 3-point shootout?
So he's also renowned as being a really good shooter, and I don't know. I would like to say I would win, but I think if he was on this podcast, he'd be trying to say otherwise and stuff like that. When I was younger, we used to shoot a lot in the garden, and there was one time we played 1-on-1. I asked him to play 1-on-1. And we had like a bush in our garden, like this big bush thing, like on the left of the basket. And when I like tried to go past him or got past him and went to lay up, and he just threw me in the bush. That was the one time we've ever played 1-on-1. Like, just didn't care, and he just like almost just like barged me off straight into the bush, like falling in, whatever. And that's sort of like whenever I talk to him about stuff when he played, it's all about, you know, hard nosed playing and all that. Like they're you know, all the stuff they used to get up to and stuff like that. It's a bit different now, but yeah. We used to play killer a lot in the garden as well, and that used to get quite competitive. But he can definitely shoot. But I think I'd definitely beat him for sure.
Love it. He doesn't get a right of reply as well on the podcast.
Maybe we can get that in at some point.
We'll find out if he listens to it, though, won't we?
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't. Otherwise he'll be coming around my house.
Yeah, maybe hold a little competition at half time to one of the Storm games. Burnell on Burnell.
He comes into practice now, like he comes to practice, you know, not all the time, but he comes to check in, and he needs to speak to the team or stuff like that. And like he'll walk in and just pick a ball up off the side and shoot a quick 3 and be done with it. Like every time. That's just, you can tell he's still
I bet
got
that makes him feel good, doesn't it? Like, oh yeah, I've still got it.
I've got an idea. I've got an idea now. If you win to get to do a shot on the raffle, we should ask John to take it for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great idea.
Absolutely.
I'll buy some tickets on Saturday, I think.
Buy some raffle tickets, Raz, yeah.
Yeah.
Still plugging that, yeah.
Definitely.
Every time.
Good man.
So yeah, well, again, talking about your dad, I mean, his shooting stats, I was just looking up on the Dave Owen basketball website. Dave's obviously a renowned statistician throughout the basketball community, and your dad's stats, so it's quite remarkable. There's in the 1988 to 89 season, from behind the arc, he shot 57%, and then in 91 to 92, 63%. I mean, wow, that's elite level, isn't it? I mean, how do you think you would have fared in that era? We said, you know, asked how your dad would sort of be playing in this sort of era, but how do you think you would have fared back in the day, you know, sort of 30 years ago?
Yeah, well, it's surprising that there was a 3-point line when he was playing, to be fair. But I think back then it was slightly different to what it is now. Like I think the game has changed a lot and stuff like that. But I don't think like the 3-point shot maybe around that time wasn't a huge thing, whereas this day and age, like it's, you know, it's such a big thing across the world sort of thing, even in the NBA. Like you look at Curry and stuff like that, you know, teams are shooting more 3s than 2s in some games, whereas back then I think it was a bit different. So I think if I was thrown in that era and just got to stand there and shoot, I think I'd probably have a good few 30-point games just off of shooting. But I don't know. I don't know enough about what it was really like back then to sort of know a solid answer. But I know the level he was playing at was quite high level, and you know, back then I think they had a few NBA players that came over and played and stuff like that, which obviously we're starting to see now with London Lions and the BBL. They've got a couple of ex-NBA players and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, but I think I would have done better than that.
Excellent stuff. Just staying on the.
I can't say I've shot 63% from the 3-point line in my career yet. Maybe under 16. I don't know.
What's your highest percentage throughout a season? Because I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, wasn't it? You were ranked 3rd in terms of 3-point shooters in the league.
Yeah, percentage. I think the best. I think from what I know, I think I was at about 42% from 3, something like that. I think it was that year when they put out the stats. I think it was about 42 or 43%, maybe.
Yeah, that's not to be sniffed at, is it?
Yeah. I think I'm shooting more this year than I ever have for whatever reason, but which is a good thing.
Do you think sort of going to, because you were working out with Taylor over the summer, weren't you?
Yeah.
Quite heavily, like in the States and stuff. Do you think that's anything to do with it? Do you think that's sort of galvanized you, or?
Yeah, obviously, like I had a lot more time to myself, like in my schedule sort of thing this summer. Obviously going out to see Taylor, it's different out there. We had the keys to the gym, we could go in, there was a shooting gun, which is like you shoot and then it throws the ball back at you, so you don't even need a rebounder. And we did that every day for the 2 weeks I was there. You know, and obviously when you're getting repetitions up and stuff like that, that all really helps. Then even when I came back from being with Taylor, I had a lot of opportunities back here where I was able to, you know, get shots up and scrimmage and stuff like that. So I think just being able to do a bit more, you know, has helped get that a little bit more ready for the season.
Good stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna. If anyone wants to take it next, we're gonna ask Jack about Russell Hoops.
Yeah, I'll pick that up. Obviously, with Max in the program as well.
Yeah,
but, you know,
absolutely.
I think it kind of leads on a bit from the shooting, because obviously there's a big part about getting fundamentals into youngsters about the game, and there seems to be a huge, you know, uplift and an upswell of take up and participation in the sport as well. So, yeah, tell us a bit about the Russell Hoops program.
Yeah, so going back to when I was set on going to America and it sort of fell through and ended up staying here. Ben Russell, who now actually lives in Texas, in Dallas, he actually lives 3 minutes from Taylor, which is unheard of. So we spent a lot of time together when I was out there, which was good. But anyway, when I ended up staying here, Ben had coached me for a couple of years as well. And I sort of went to him like, I'm sort of a bit stuck now, what do I do? And he said, well, you can work for me, coaching, doing the school stuff like we do now, and then, you know, play for Storm is still a good level, and then see what happens. I still had another year of eligibility, so in my head I was like, I can do that, and then potentially still go back to America and almost use that as like a red shirt year. So I did that and worked for Ben, and then I think I did 3 years. 2 or 3 years with Ben, and just did loads for him. I started, and then he moved at some, I can't remember what point, but before that he had already moved to Dallas. So I was actually then taking on a lot of I did start doing a lot of admin. I was running a lot of stuff myself. I was starting sessions myself and started doing a bit more, because Ben wasn't here in person. It made it a bit more difficult for him. And then ended up coming to year 2, and I sort of had put the America stuff to the side. And I was enjoying what I was doing, sort of working and playing for Storm, and stuck it out another year. And then he sort of turned around to me and said, look, I'm not in a position to carry on the business. I either, you know, sort of either fold it, get rid of it, whatever you want to call it, or there's an opportunity for you and PJ, who's Ben's younger brother, who was coaching with me at the time as well. And we both went to Barking Abbey together, although PJ was into his coaching, not playing, as Rishi knows. He's not. So Ben turned around and said, you know, you got an opportunity, you can take on the business. So we did. And then been doing it ever since. 5 years, 6, 5, something like that. And we've just sort of built it back up, you know, done other stuff. We were our main, the breakdown of the business really is we have a big schools program where we have 2 areas. So we run. So when I decided to stay and play for Hemel, it made sense that there was no community program in Hemel. So we weren't running sessions, we weren't running camps, we weren't in schools or anything like that. And it was the perfect opportunity for us to develop a community program for Storm, which obviously, as you guys know these days, you know, it's got really, you know, we've really grown it. We've got loads of kids, you know, coming through the door. We're in lots of schools and stuff like that. And it's a big part of the club, you know, not just financially, but, you know, in regards to people coming to games and things like that. I think, Rishi, you said you found out you know, about coming to the games through some of the coaching sessions and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we have a big school, and we also work. The business started in East Hart, so like Cheshunt, Broxbourne, Hertford Ware, that area, that strip. So we're still over there, and then we run the holiday camps in the holidays, and we also run like the midweek sessions and stuff like that. And we're also doing tours where we take kids abroad. We've been doing tours for about 7 years, and the tours are unbelievable. That's sort of the best part of the business. And we were lucky. Well, COVID sort of obviously shut that down a bit because of travel and things like that. But we were lucky by the skin of our teeth last year. We managed to take 2 teams to Barcelona under 12, and that tour managed to go ahead. Unfortunately, we had to cancel we were meant to go to LA last year with an under 18/19 team, but that got cancelled because of the war affected it and a few other things. And previously we'd been taking 60 kids at a time on tour. We'd been to Portugal, we'd been to Madrid, we'd been to Italy, and we'd also done a few America trips. We went to Dallas twice, and we went to Boston twice as well. And they're fantastic. They're the opportunity of a lifetime for some of these kids, you know. And like the America ones, we even had a kid. He got an opportunity to go and play in America from that trip. He got sort of scouted, if you like, to go to a college, little things like that. So it's getting exposure for kids as well, which is brilliant. And we had a kid when we went to Italy. He ended up at 14 moving to Italy to play basketball. Stayed there. He's a resident of Italy, and he went through the program. He ended up playing professionally in Italy and everything like that. And that came off of his scholarship offer, came from our tour. So there's a few success stories like that, but ultimately, like, they're just opportunities to get kids abroad and see what it's like in these other countries. So yeah, that's basically what our business is. Yeah, and COVID obviously really hurt us, but we're slowly getting everything back to normal. We had a very successful Storm camp in the summer. I think we had 175 kids through the door, which was brilliant. And that's, now we're looking forward and everything's looking really good. And we've got Seth, Aaron and Taylor coaching, and myself obviously coaching in the schools and the community program week to week, which is going really well as well.
That's great to see. Really great.
Is your ambition off the back of, obviously you've done a lot of coaching for the kids and bringing them on, at the end of your sort of playing career, would you like to be sitting in Drew's seat or even higher if you can get, when you finish playing, do you see yourself trying to coach at adult level as well? Or? It's
a good question. I've been asked this a few times. I think me and Darla had this conversation not too long ago as well. And I have been involved in coaching, myself and PJ, separate to all of the community stuff. We've coached like the county teams, and we did a year with the regional team as well, where we were really successful, and those times were brilliant. Like, I really enjoyed it. I really sort of adapted a bit of a different mindset towards basketball, because it is completely different from a coach to a player, or player to coach. But I don't know, to be honest. I haven't really thought about it. I'm still pretty set on, my playing career and continuing with Storm for as long as I can. And you never know, at some point, I hope maybe I'll transition into helping out with the coaching team at some point. But I don't know. It just depends on life after playing, I guess. But obviously, my dad did it, and he coached at a high level, head coached at a high level. He did, I think, 7-8 years in Division 1 with a program. So I've got it there if I want to get into it. But to be honest with you, I haven't really thought about it too much. But we'll see.
Having too much fun this season, right?
I'm definitely set on playing for now.
Yeah.
get some silverware first, and then I'll take a seat on Drew's seat. Well, not on Drew's seat, but a seat next to Drew at least.
Yeah.
But I think on that, I think like Michael was obviously a great example. He was, a big role, a big player on the team, and unfortunately, obviously he had injury problems, which gave him that setback. And I had numerous conversations with him when we were teammates. Like he was telling me like how he enjoyed coaching more and stuff like that, and he could see himself getting into it. And I think it's 3 years now. I think since Drew came in, he's been part of the coaching team, and he's absolutely fantastic. He's adapted so well. Like his knowledge of the game's really, really high, like his dad was as well. His dad coached me when I was a junior, and he's definitely on that wavelength. Obviously, he's involved with the uni program at Hearts, but him and Drew working together, like Darlow's done absolutely fantastic, really well. And I think he thought it might have been a bit tough for him at first, because he literally went from a season of playing almost. I know he didn't play much because he was hurt, straight into being part of the coaching team. And obviously he had like myself, Bodie, Waleed, Tom Adorian. No, not Tom Adorian. He'd finished back then, but he had like 2 or 3 of us that had been his teammate, and transitioning then to have a completely different relationship with him has been really good. And I think he's dealt with everything really professionally, and he's definitely looking forward with his coaching career for sure. He's been fantastic. He's a vital part of what we're doing. With Drew, of course. It's funny though, because sometimes on the bench, Mike will say something in Drew's ear like, "Oh, run this," or "Let's change this," or "Run that." And then when Drew's like, "Yeah, we'll do it," or "We'll run this," and then we get a score off it, he'll look straight at me on the bench and say, "That was me." He does that a lot. It's brilliant. And then sometimes if I'm near him, I can see him saying stuff to Drew like, "Run this," and then I'll if I know that it's going to happen and then we get a score of it, I'll go out of my way to say, "Well done, Drew," just to piss him. And he'd be like, "What?" He'd be standing there. You'll see him standing up. "What are you talking about?" I did that. But no, he's a great example of what we're talking about there with transitioning from player to coach. I can't say I can't see myself doing it, but I just haven't really thought about it too much at this point. Still trying to play.
Glad you are. So yeah, so a big part of your game then is perimeter shooting. So how often do you sort of practice freeze, and does shooting freeze come sort of naturally to you?
Yeah, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, like a big part of it is repetition, and shooting a lot, every day really. Obviously, we get to shoot at practice and shoot after practice and stuff like that. But the good thing is, because we've got a good relationship with one of our schools, Laureate, I've got the keys to the gym. So again, myself, Seth, Aaron, and Taylor, we can get shots up whenever we want there. So, like tonight after academy, we'll stay and shoot, get extra shots up. Mondays we can get extra shots up when we finish there, things like that. So that's what it's about really, is just making sure that at this point it's all about repetition. And I will notice a difference if, for example, if I wasn't to shoot at all this week and then go into the game Saturday, I'm not going to be, you can see a massive difference where I know if I've shot Monday, Tuesday at practice, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, I know it feels a lot better come game time. So I think that's a huge point, is just the repetition of, like you said, getting shots up as much as possible. That's all it is now.
Is it all fairly sort of loose and free, or do you have a set sort of regime you stick to? Do you have to get so many shots up, or? Not
really, no. Like, I always, if I'm even before a game or before practice, whatever, I usually shoot a lot with Taylor. We've just had a thing since he's been here where we sort of paired up and shot together. But I'll always sort of start close to the basket. Like if I come in, just start launching threes, like your shot goes everywhere. You're not warmed up yet. You've not got your eye in. So I always start nice and close, and then just work my way back. And I just do it like that. That's sort of how we do it. But there isn't necessarily a complete set, regime of doing it. Apart from before a game, me and Taylor have a pretty strong pre-game setup.
I just had this image. Sorry, Rob, go on.
No, go on, mate.
No, I was going to say, I just had this image of you sort of with this Steph Curry style routine, starting shooting threes from the corners, working your way around the arc, walking back to the halfway line, coming back and reversing it like he did. And
he's on a different level.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of his, there's a lot of shooting videos of him online and stuff like that. And another one, my favorite player in the NBA is Devin Booker. So I watch a lot of his stuff, and they've got some really good workouts that they do. I've done some of them on when I'm shooting on a Monday or Wednesday and stuff like that. They're on a different level.
How does it feel playing for your hometown club, effectively being one of our own?
Yes, it's perfect. Like it fits in really well with all my other stuff as well. But obviously, as you guys are fully aware, like the Storm family, the community that we have is fantastic, and it's just got better and better. And you can't really complain about playing in front of our crowd, week in, week out. That's obviously a massive point. But being local Hemel, I've got a lot of family that come to the game and all of that, and with the business sort of linking in with Storm, I'm pretty Storm through and through for sure. But yeah, it's fantastic. Like everything about the club, we're heading in the right direction. But definitely the biggest thing is the community side of stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great vibe in there, isn't it? It's just,
Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing. And from an NBA point of view, do you have a team, or do you follow a team from the NBA? You mentioned some players there.
Well, I would say probably the Suns, just because since Devin Booker's come on the scene, he's my favourite player. I've never really had I'm a Lakers fan through and through. I've never really had that with that. But when Booker came into the league, I want the Suns to do well because of him. I'm a massive fan of him.
I remember that brilliant piece of footage when I can't remember if he hit a free and then he falls over and there's a little kid on the floor. He always sitting on his dad's lap, and the little kid just puts his hand out like that, and Devin Booker just gets up and just dabs his hand like that. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant piece of footage, that. Superb. So
yeah, I'd probably say the Suns just because of Booker.
Yeah. I've got to say, because I've touched on this before on some of the podcasts. I'm I'm a NBA jersey nerd. I've got like tons of them, loads of different clubs and stuff. And the Suns always come out. They've got some cracking.
The new Suns black one is the best jersey I've ever
seen. Yeah.
I've never bought a jersey, but that one at some point I'm going to be getting.
Yeah, their City Edition jerseys, they're superb.
It's
really good
jerseys in the NBA.
Yeah. Would you ever like to go out there today? One day, to take in a game? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit jealous of Rishi because he's going to be sitting at Madison Square Garden at some point in the next week.
Yeah,
whilst I'm in the cold and rain, sitting in my house. So I'll be thinking of Rishi. But yeah, absolutely. At some point, when I get a chance to get back there, I want to try and get out there during the season. Obviously, the tough thing is their season sort of coincides roughly with ours.
Yeah.
So I've never sort of got out there to see a game out there. I've seen NBA games when they've come over here. Obviously, they did the London games and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get out to any game really, just to take in an NBA game for sure.
Yeah, I'm even more jealous of Rich because I'm a Knicks fan. So
I'm making lots of friends here.
Yeah, he's promised to send me all sorts of footage while he's out there, which is great. Very, very kind of him.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So yeah, talking about basketball heroes, then who would your dream team be? Sort of past and present players across the league, across the NBL.
Across the league?
Yeah, it's probably quite a tough question.
That's a tough question, but I could probably go with a Storm team, past and present. Obviously, going off some of the good relationships I've had with players in the past. We had Zach Wells, who was a 7th. He played in the BBL. He played a year at Hemel as well. I still talk to him now. He doesn't play anymore, but I'd probably put him in there. Tom Adorian as well, because I spent all his years here even when I was a junior coming through, and then we ended up playing together. And then the good thing about the crazy thing about that one is his last game for Storm was in Bradford or Newcastle. We stayed overnight, and me and him shared a hotel room, and we sat there on the night before we were going back, and he just said, like, this is sort of it was his last away trip, I think, for Storm. And he sort of sat there, and like, when he first came to Storm, I was literally like an under 16, maybe under 18, I'm not sure, junior player, and his last weekend was sitting in a hotel room, teammates with me at the end of his career. So that was kind of crazy. So I had a really good relationship with Tom.
He was a great player. I remember that year that we had him and Lee playing together, and we could chuck two big men in, and that was superb that year.
Absolutely, yeah. Tom was fantastic. And then there was another player who I sort of looked up to a bit back when I was sort of coming through was Louis Sayers, who also has recently been playing in the BBL, although I think he's been injured. He played the same position as me, although he was a lot better. He had, we similar game sort of thing, similar skill set. So, when I was younger, coming to watch the Storm games, because I used to go to obviously watch them every week when I was a junior. We'd sometimes play our games before them, like the uni team do. Then I'd hang around and watch. And the year that we had Louis Sayers was great for me because I was able to sit and watch him and sort of learn from him. He was fantastic. Playing the BBL, played for Newcastle most recently. He had a great career at Plymouth as well. So he's definitely one. And I'd probably say Bodie, of course. He was here 10 years from day one when I was here, and then transitioned into the senior team, and we went all the way through ever since I've been here. So obviously it was sad to part with him this year, but we've always had a great relationship with someone I've obviously looked up to, who used to give me a lot of hard times when I was younger, because came a point where myself and Nick were like practicing with the men's team when we were younger, like when we were juniors, and Bodie was pretty brutal, but for the best. Like that's what people sometimes don't get with Bodie, is he can be pretty harsh or brutal, but he's doing it for the right reasons. And he really helped me transition in when I ended up staying here and playing for the men's team and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd probably say those four from sort of Storm past players. And of course, Waleed is the other one. He's probably my fifth player. Again, he was at Storm 6-7 years maybe, and the whole time I was here, another one that I looked up to. But he didn't like playing with me because he's 13 years older than me. So it made him feel too old. He used to mention that a lot. And I used to give it back to him as well, saying that he's the old head, 13 years older than me, which was all good. But he's another one as well from past players that had really good relationship with.
There was that 1 year where he went away and played for TBC for a year. That just felt it just felt wrong, didn't it? It was just bizarre to see him for that one season.
Yeah, then he came back.
Yeah.
And then by that point, I said to him, I'm running the team now. You left for a year, like you're under my wing. And I'm like, and he's like, you're 13 years younger than me. No, it's all good. But I'll probably say those are the 5 past players that, I've had good relationships with, and, they were some of the better players we've had for sure.
I saw you sent a message through the Rebound NBL podcast to Bodie, asking him a question. That was funny. He laughed at that.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did he mention it?
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, it made him laugh.
Might have to try and flick through that one.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
People keep asking me if I've spoke to him, and we spoke like before pre-season when sort of it was, sort of done that he was going to be going elsewhere, whatever. And people keep asking me, like, even today, someone asked me at the session if I spoke to Bodie, and I'm like, well, no, like he's on another team now. Like for the rest of this season, he's, we're gonna have to keep ourselves to ourselves, and then in the off season, maybe I'll speak to him. We'll see.
Yeah. Given he roughed you up a bit as when you were like playing as a youngster, transitioning to the men's team. When we play TVC, are you going to knock him over a few times?
Absolutely. Going straight through Bodie's chest at the first opportunity.
Good stuff. Rightly so.
And the fan base will just like jump up on their feet like you've got a massive dunk or something, Jack. Yeah.
Be ready for that one. No, on all seriousness, I have a really good relationship with Bodie. Like, we haven't spoke much recently for obvious reasons, but I will always check in with him and hope that everything's good with him with his new, with TVC and stuff like that. Until we play him.
And then we'll whip him.
Yeah, exactly.
So we briefly touched on the start to the season earlier when we were talking about Romario. Obviously we've won every game we played so far. What as a player and as a squad, what have you guys made to the start of the season?
Yeah, I think this is from my point of view as well, being around the last sort of 7 seasons, this is definitely the best start to a season, not just off of results. Like we had a real strong pre-season. We managed to have I think we had a practice game against Surrey Scorchers, which was behind closed doors in the BBL. And, we'd only been in pre-season a few weeks, and thinking back to then when we played them, we didn't have Seth either, to where we are now, like there's already been so much improvement as a team and as a group. Like the more we've gelled together, like I think everyone's sort of buying into what we're doing. There's a real good vibe around the team, which, I think is one of the reasons why we're getting these results, is because we're actually really close and everyone's on the same page. Whereas I think in other seasons we've had like jolted starts. We've, not everyone's been fit. That's another good thing. Touch wood. Everyone's been fit to start the year. So I think as far as like preparation and the start we've had, I think it's definitely been the best by far in the seven seasons that I've been here. So we're definitely looking forward. And like you said earlier, we've added Romario this week. He'll be in practice this week from tomorrow. And it's just another piece that we've got. And I think, we're all on the same page. So at the moment, as far as today's concerned, we're in a really good position.
And have the new guys in the squad, obviously some of them came with, like Hakeem came, a statement signing, Seth obviously got 30 odd points against us in pre-season the year before. Have the guys that have come in, have they kind of lived up to what you expected, or do you think some of them have over-delivered to date?
No, absolutely. Like, obviously we knew roughly what we was going to get with Hakeem. We knew roughly what we was going to get with Charles, because we played against him the last few seasons. And obviously we did sort of know what we was going to get with Seth because we played against him pre-season last year. And obviously Bernard as well from TVC. But it was quite funny when those all of them came in, including Seth, because he'd played against us. I met Seth because he's living with my parents, so I met him at the house, and I think one of the first things he mentioned was that 30-point game he had against us, and the fact that he faked, and I jumped, and then he turned around and hit a shot, and he gave me a look, and all this sort of stuff. We were going back and forth about that, and I thought, well, at least he's brave coming in and starting all that up again. So that was quite funny. And then I've had some running jokes with the TVC guys as well, saying, I said I've got to give them like 3 or 4 weeks to let the TVC and them dust off so I can, you know, get them on our page sort of thing. So I was joking around with that, which was quite funny. But it's been brilliant. Like Hakeem, Charles, Aaron, Seth, Bernard have all been fantastic additions to the team this year. You know, everyone's performing, everyone's doing what they're meant to be doing. We've even the difference this year, like you mentioned about Seth this weekend just gone, like previous years we were heavily reliant on like 2 guys scoring 30+ points every game. Whereas we've had this year already, we've had Hakeem score, top score, we've had Seth top score, Taylor's top scored, Sam top scored one game, Aaron top scored another game. You know, we've had games where other guys have contributed to the scoring side of stuff. And obviously bringing Charles in is a big defensive presence as well. And Hakeem, obviously, who's pretty all-round, like defensively and offensively, he's a very efficient player. So I think as far as pieces are concerned, like it's just all gelled perfectly together. And I think that's the number one thing. We're not heavily reliant on 2 people scoring 30 points a game, 30+ points a game. Like it's very spread out. Like if you look at the score sheets after a lot of the games, it's like 22, 20, 15, 12, 12, that sort of spread, like instead of like 35, 35, 10. You know, that's a big thing for us. I think if we want to be different this year, you know, and have depth within our squad, you know, going down the line when we come across some of the tougher teams in the league, that's going to give us the edge in those games for sure. So the new guys have been fantastic. We've all gelled well as a team. Like I said, the vibe's been brilliant. So we just got to keep it going, keep it rolling.
Looking ahead to the weekend, then obviously we've got Loughborough at home in the league. We've beat them in the Kit King Trophy at up there. What are your thoughts on the game on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously we beat them, like you said, in the group stages of the trophy games. But they've got some more pieces this year. They've got 2 Americans again. I don't even think one of them played against us in the last game. I'm not too sure, so we might be seeing a new face as well. But they're a very well-coached team as well. Will Maynard, who's the assistant coach also at Leicester Riders. So they're going to be well organised. They're going to have structure and stuff like that. So I don't think there's anyone really in our league that you can sort of just brush off or just tick off that we're going to turn up and win. You know, when at this level, you've got to be fully prepped for every game that you're playing. So we had a good practice last night. We got another practice tomorrow, and we've just got to make sure that we're fully prepped and ready for what's coming on Saturday. That's the biggest thing. But like they're still going to be they're going to be a competitive team, regardless of whether people think we should win or we shouldn't win. You know, any team really in this league can beat anyone on their day.
Yeah.
So it's just being fully prepped this week, ready to go.
Good stuff. So do you feel then with the squad that Storm have got now, silverware is realistic this season?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hope like a big thing for me, like I don't want to bring it up, and I'm sure you don't want me to bring it up, but the final last year was a killer. Like that's one of my biggest killers I've had playing basketball. Like we were so close, obviously we were down, we came back, all that sort of stuff. And I think ever since then, even when I went out to Dallas, me and Taylor were still salty about it. And it's just sitting there, it's just in the back of my mind constantly. I've even watched the game a few times, which, you know, normally if we've lost a game like that, previous finals, that's deleted off my YouTube. That's never done, show me this again, sort of thing. Whereas that one I've actually watched 3 or 4 times just to keep it in my mind, so that this year, obviously, we've already got one opportunity for silverware at Christmas. But obviously there's a few more opportunities as well. And obviously we got the league and the playoffs, which are the big ones. So I'm hoping now that we've got the pieces, end of the season, we'll be lifting trophies for sure.
And obviously we've got Worthing in the Kit King Trophy final. You having been there in, was it 2018 when they beat us in the playoffs, the first time we got there, does that have that kind of added like
absolutely
insensitive because you've been in the team when they've beaten us in a effectively
absolutely.
a final?
Obviously Worthing, like us, have been very competitive over the last however many years, so it's always been a battle against us and them, and I think it's been quite mixed with them over the last few years. Like we've won some, they've won some, sort of thing, and it's always a good rivalry. And we're two, especially this year, we're two of the better teams on paper, so they're definitely on the list to make sure we take care of. But there's always some added stuff when you're playing Worthing, trying to making sure you want to get the win against them for sure. And I'm really close with one of their players, Tom Ward, who you guys obviously would have seen play over the last few years, and he's played there for years as well, like I have at Hemel. And we've had a lot of, he was part of that team in 2018 that beat us in the final. And unfortunately, I'm pretty close with him. We've done a lot of work together as well. So he ran a similar business to me, so we did a lot together, and we do all the tours together as well. So there's always, I've got that situation as well where me and him are always wanting to get one up. And now there's the biggest opportunity of all. I haven't spoke to him since we both made that final, so I'm waiting to give him a little phone call to pipe that one up as well.
You need to have a word with the rest of the squad to tell them how important it is to you.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be 100% ready. A coach said to me once, if you're not ready to play in a final, then you shouldn't be playing sport. So you got to be ready for those moments.
Yeah, that's why you do it, right? Get into these.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we've got that, like I said, it's in the back of the mind here, that final last year.
I like that you're using that as fuel, that you've got it there, you're not going to let it drop.
It's probably on my mind every week at the moment. Like every game, before the game, I'm thinking of that. So hopefully, like I said, foot on the gas pedal when we push in for silverware in all competitions.
Love it.
Do you know something? Just as I'd sort of forgotten that final, Jack, you've just taken me right back there.
I know.
It was a roller coaster, wasn't it? Even on the side.
This is the. Yeah, I mean, God,
I didn't hear from Drew for about a month after that. I normally speak to him a couple of times a week, even if it is in the off season. So I think it hurt everyone, and obviously there's still a bunch of us that are here this year that were part of that, like myself, Sam, Nick, Teo, of course. So it's not just me that's got it sitting at the back of my mind. There's a few of us.
I think that's the thing that gets you, that we looked sort of dead and buried at one point, sort of 17 points down or whatever it was, and then we came, pardon the pun, storming back, and then we were ahead by a point or two.
I know.
And then just couldn't sort of hang on to that lead, and that's
we were like a basket or two away from stealing that game.
It's the hope that kills you, as they say.
Then I could have retired and become a coach, but no, I'm
exactly. Yeah, that's it.
To be fair, that Solent team of the last sort of 2-3 years, their game management in those kind of key games was exceptional, wasn't it?
They were fantastic. Yeah, there is. On a serious note, the last few last season and the last few seasons before that, they've been on another level. And we did beat them. I think we've beaten them a couple of times during the year. The one or two losses they've had, and I really, really thought that was the time to get them. And they knew, because I know a couple of those guys as well, and they did not want to be seeing us in Manchester. So, but it is what it is. You learn from it, move on.
We were actually one of only two teams to beat them last season.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that victory came at their place as well, which is a fantastic result. Everyone talks about you know, some of the bit like the TBC semi-final. But for me, the Solent Kestrel's away game, it was streamed live on YouTube. I watched it, and that to me was one of our biggest results of the season.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But that was
anyway
because of their situation with, you know, they've got a different setup this year. They're, you know, they're not going to be quite as strong. Like, that was the opportunity to put that Solent situation to bed. That's what hurts the most as well. But we move on.
Yeah, let's pick it up. Let's pick it up a bit now, shall we? Yeah.
We're all deflated again now.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to say the next one, Rish, and we were saying about the contenders and stuff. That was one I was going to, but yeah, go with that and we'll.
Yeah. I think we talked a bit about Worthing, and obviously, you know, I think we're up there as contenders. But is there anyone else you're really looking forward to facing this season?
Yeah, obviously Worthing are the obvious one because of, you know, the roster they've put together. But I think Derby we're not going to see until after Christmas, so we're going to have to wait a bit to play them. They're another strong team. They had a good start to the league. They had a 30-point win, and obviously we had a couple of really tough games during the season against them. Obviously, we managed to see them off in the quarterfinal, but they're another really strong team. They got a lot of pieces. They're really well coached. Their coach was actually my England coach, Matt Shaw. And I know what he's like because I played for him, and I know he's well drilled, and they're always going to be, you know, really structured and stuff like that. So I think, you know, they're definitely one to circle on the calendar. Worthing. I think Reading. I know we beat them a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was in the semi-final. But I think, you know, they're still maybe trying to figure stuff out, and I think, you know, they could be another strong team this year. And obviously TVC, and they've always been a bit of a kryptonite for our for Storm. So hopefully we circle that one as well in a few weeks.
We've had
the trade-off this summer.
Do you see TVC as one of those that's more like our sort of derby game? I know obviously Oakland's were in the league last year, and in terms of like distance, obviously that's a lot closer, but is TVC the kind of Spurs Arsenal type, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Like even more so this year because of the situation with
because they've got Shaq and Jonathan as well as Bode, haven't they, this year?
Yeah.
Can I just say something at this point? Obviously, me being an Arsenal fan, I'd prefer it if Arsenal were linked with Storm and Spurs were like the TVC team.
No, you can't have that.
I'd go to TVC.
I had to get in there knowing you three are all Tottenham fans, and I'm the lone gooner here. So,
what is there a particular reason why you wear number 7, Jack?
Yeah, my dad wore it. My dad wore it as a player all the way through his career, and my granddad, his dad, even wore it when he played football. So they were sort of the two reasons. They were almost like, you have to wear number 7. When I was younger, even playing football, my dad was like, you know, try and get number 7 and whatever. Just keep that little bit of a family thing. And a couple of athletes that I've always liked growing up was David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo, who obviously both wore number 7.
Yeah.
The majority of their career anyway. Don't know if Beckham wore something else, but they were two guys that I liked growing up as well. So yeah, but the main reason is my dad wore it when he played basketball, and so did my granddad. So I've always worn it, well, as much as I can anyway.
That's nice.
I was even lucky enough to wear it for a couple of the tournaments I played in with the national team, which was brilliant.
Oh wow,
yeah, which was even luckier.
A little basketball fact for you. You touched on Beckham there. Beckham, when he went to Real Madrid, he wore 23 in honour of Michael Jordan.
That's right. Yeah, that's why I've thought there was a time where he wasn't 7. I think
massive
England
basketball
and a
fan.
few others he was wearing 7. Yeah.
Yes. So you touched on that about 7, and there's a sort of link. Have you got any other sort of superstitions or any sort of pre-match rituals, things you have to do every single game, or?
I wouldn't really say like rituals as such, but I think I briefly said it earlier. Me and Taylor, since he's been here at Storm, we've always paired up, and we've got a little pre-game routine that we do before every game and practice actually, which is really good. Which involves some two-ball handling to get us going, and then we shoot. You know, like I said, starting close and working our way out to the 3-point line. So we go through that before every game.
Okay.
That's sort of what I do pre-game, yeah, with Taylor. Although he said in the summer or pre-season, he was like, he turned up to practice or wherever he was, and he said, I've got a bit of a problem. Because when he was at TVC, his partner for all his pre-game rituals and stuff like that was Charles. And I just took one look at him and said, like, you make a decision then. Don't bother me. I said, it's fine with me, but just know that we won't be on the same wavelength for the rest of the year. And he stuck it out. I think Charles, we'll be shooting before practice, and Charles sometimes comes over and shoots by himself, and he's just there on the side, and maybe there's a little bit of a thing there, but no, it's all jokes. But yeah, his partner was Charles before, so he came into preseason like, what do I do? And I said, well, it's an obvious answer in it, really. You want to shoot. You want to shoot with the shooter.
I feel bad for Charles now. Maybe we should go join in like before.
Yeah, a
partner.
couple of times he's looked a bit lost pre-game. So I think we even need to think of a solo pre-game routine for him, or we need to swiftly get him a partner.
Buddy him up.
Maybe we can hook him up with Romario.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
You could have a shoot off pre-game then, couldn't you? Romario and Charles against you and Taylor.
Yeah.
I think in a podcast or an interview, maybe a year or two ago, you talked about maybe Storm entering the BBL at some point. Do you still think where we kind of are now, and obviously the state of the economy and stuff, do you think it's still a viable option potentially in the future?
Yeah, I've been asked this a few times, and I think you're right. I think I did touch on it with one of the Basketball England guys back in lockdown. But I've even had people this year, because of our success already, like, people always ask me, are you going to get promoted this year? And I've sort of explained the situation. Obviously, there isn't a promotion to the BBL. And it's a bit of the difficult thing is like, you have to, it's like a franchise thing. You have to buy into the BBL to have a program, and there's quite a lot of requirements. I don't know, everything about it, but I know enough to say that you need to, like, there's certain requirements on your court and that sort of stuff as well. And obviously there's a massive financial element, that comes with it. So I wouldn't say it's like out the question, but I think there's still a few more pieces to the puzzle before there's them conversations. But the club's definitely heading in the right direction. Like, the following that we've got, the community side of stuff, fan base, we're producing in Division 1. Even last few years we've been in the finals and that sort of stuff we've been producing. So we're attracting the right players and stuff like that. But I think there's a bit of a bigger picture with it, where I think there's a few more pieces of the puzzle to come in before those talks start happening. But absolutely, that'd be an absolutely amazing thing to see, is to get Hemel back in the BBL, even if it is in a few more years to come. I think it would be fantastic. And as you guys know, as you're part of it, like, I think fan base and the community in Hemel, it would just put a big thing for basketball in the town.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's takes a whole new level.
Absolutely.
I think as well, with us not having a proper league football team, I think basketball has the opportunity to take over to some degree from that as well, because if the bigger the performance of the team, people will move in and out of them as well. But obviously, one of the sticking points is having your own arena, isn't it? And there's nothing
having
in
your own
Hemel.
arena.
Yeah,
That's one of the big things. And I think a big piece of the puzzle that I think is missing at Storm, that I'm sort of working on with other people, we're going to be working on it, is we need to try and get back an actual competing junior club, like competing under 12, under 14, under 16, under 18 girls and boys teams in our national league. And then I think once we've got that, we've got a huge infrastructure. Then we've got a professional or Division 1 men's program. We have a whole junior program. We've got the community program that's separate, that provides the camps, the sessions, and all the school program and stuff like that. Then you've got the link with the uni, so you've got a uni link. And we've even got really good talks going on with the school in Hemel about trying to create some sixth form type academy situation, which are in talks down the line. So I think over the next 2-3 years, there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle that could come together. It's just getting it done and making sure it's all done properly.
Yeah.
But I think that would be huge, and something I'm going to be working on this year with a few other people that are involved in our community program is trying to get that junior program back, because we're at a situation where, for example, Max with Rishi, like Max has been coming for a long time now. He's really improving. He's really hooked on basketball. He's getting better. And then in a few weeks' time or whatever, Rishi might turn around and say, right, he wants to go and join a club. And instead of me going, oh, Rishi, you have to go to Watford, you have to go to Aylesbury, you have to go to Stevenage, because we don't have a club. And then we potentially could lose Max as one of our Hemel kids. Instead of doing that, I can be like, right, Rishi, we've got an under 14 boys team, come and play with us. He's then playing internationally. So instead of sending players away to other teams, we need to be in a situation where, and I've had this numerous times since September when we started, I've had conversations tonight where I'm like, instead of me being, we've got a club here, we have to say, right, you need to try that club. And they all have waiting lists as well. So actually, them opportunities sometimes don't even arise for these kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing, and obviously it's easy for me to say because I'm directly involved in the community program and helping run it all and stuff like that. But I do think that that's a huge thing. And I think it will help attract a lot more things to Storm.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of people, like young kids, playing the game, right? And being able to take that next step is a massive thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the opportunity is required.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Without doubt.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a really random question now. Just something I'll put to Taylor. These guys just rip it out of me for this, but I'm a really big sneakerhead when it comes to like basketball. Always have been. I had the Jordan 6s, the original ones when I was younger. I really wanted the 5s, but they sold out. I've got the 6s, the 7s, and the 8s, and just always been in love with sneakers. Everything about them, the design, etc. I mean, what have you got a preference that you? I know you. I think you wear Nikes, don't you? But I was.
Yeah.
Not that I was, in some weird way, sort of like creepily just staring at your sneakers, Jack, during the game. But yeah, have you got a preference? Any sort of?
This is probably going to be the most boring part of this podcast because I am the least sneaker person there is in the history of sneakers.
Really?
Yeah, I've never had a thing for like shoes or anything like that. I've always tried to find the cheapest pair of basketball boots I can find that suit me to play every year. And that normally means getting someone from America to bring them back for me, and I give them the money here. The shoes I'm wearing now cost me $25. I refuse to pay over £50 for a pair of shoes. But that's just me. But I don't know like loads about them. I've never had Jordans and stuff like that. But I've always played in like Nike. I always played in Kobe's. Always like lows.
Yeah.
Then I think I rolled my ankle once and I got a bit sensitive and I was like, maybe I should go like the mid shoe, which is sort of what I wear now, although they're still pretty low. And the ones I wear now are Paul George. You know Paul George?
Yeah, that's what Taylor wears as well. He was
Yeah,
saying,
me and Taylor wear the same. Yeah. So Paul George, they're his shoe. I wear them, but I'm quite boring when it comes to that. But maybe when you get Teo on here, you can spend 45 minutes of the podcast talking about shoes.
Oh God, I'll do a separate one just with him on that.
He loves it.
I really would.
He absolutely loves it. So shout out Teo for his sneaker collection.
Anyone else in the team we should target in terms of sneakers, or
I'm not sure. But
I should target. I should say.
I noticed Teo gets changed sort of next to me in the changing room at home games. And Hakeem came walking in all happy, and he was wearing these bright blue Jordan shoes. And straight away, them two were like talking about it. Taylor's like, "Oh, yeah. There was like back and forth of whose Jordans were nicer and stuff like that." And I'm just sitting there like, "Get me out of here!"
Yeah,
like they were saying whose were better. So them two, Teo I know for sure because I've been around him the last few years and I know what he's like with his shoes, but other than that, I'm not too sure. I think Seth might be into all of his shoes. He's just bought some new ones. He was telling me.
I saw the orange ones he wears, isn't he?
I was just giving him lip service. I was, brilliant. Excellent. He was telling me about they're the Dwayne Wades, they've got this inner soul, and I was just sitting there like, brilliant. You're talking to the wrong person.
But what did you say to him? But can you buy them for 25 quid?
Yeah, exactly. But how much did they cost you? 190 quid. Yeah, out of a heart.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So that's just my preference on shoes. I'm trying to find the cheapest that look nice, comfortable, and that's me done. I tried to get a pair in Dallas to bring back for this year because I do have a couple of slight little rips on my shoes currently.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a pair cheap enough, so I left it. So I'm still wearing the same as last year, but hopefully they last out because I'm one of them that only has one pair as well. Taylor's got like 6. I think 2 of them are here at my house. But yeah. So there's
I think with
a couple other people, Fraz, you'll be in your element with them.
Oh, I love it. One of my friends. She's actually a sneaker designer.
Oh, really?
She worked for It's not basketball. She worked for Bjorn Borg. I know we've talked many times about it and stuff, and she showed me designs. So I just love the sort of the aesthetics of it all. I'm a massive nerd, just a massive nerd about basketball. You know, jerseys, sneakers, everything, the Jordan era. So I grew up in that. You know, I grew up at that time. That was, I've said it before in the other podcast. I'm probably getting really boring now, but the guy he was massive at the time. He was big. He transcended basketball. He really did. And to this day, you can still feel his legacy.
I did actually buy one pair of Jordans when I was in America. They were called, you might know if you know your shoes, they were called Son of Mars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were like I bought them. I think I wore them once and then sold them.
Oh.
As soon as I touched down back in the UK, I said, "What am I doing?" And just got rid of them.
I was just going to say, you haven't still got them and you want to sell them, have you?
No, they're gone. They were long gone, mate. They were long gone.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's just my preference.
Yeah, I noticed those
Keep
black.
it cheerful.
Yeah, fair enough. It's what you like, isn't it? You know. So, fair enough. No, we'll broach it with all the other guys when we get them on. So
yeah, there's definitely a couple that will be. They'll come ready for that question for sure. But
good.
Bear Teo in mind because he talked about it a lot.
Okay. Yeah. No, we would do. We'll have a chat with him. Try and get him on.
As we're in that kind of random,
do a spin-off, Fred.
Yeah, it could do. Yeah, time for a tangent or something like that. We could do a new podcast.
As we're in that kind of random question area now, a question that Fraz won't like probably, Jack. Who's going to finish higher out of Spurs and Arsenal?
Enough said. Guarantee you, Fraz, I'll put whatever deal you want on the line this year. I'll give you my whole kit and shoes and socks and shorts.
Oh God!
Everything.
But what do I give you in return though? My Storm jersey. It's got, to be fair, it's got number 7 on it. So all you got to do is get Burnell written on the back of it, and you're there.
If Arsenal finish above Spurs this year, I will give you my whole kit signed by everyone.
What size feet are you?
11.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
11.
Oh, okay. I'm a 13, so
I'll
Never
buy you
mind.
a pair of shoes.
That-
I'll
Just
buy
not
you.
the
a
shoes.
pair of
you lot
first.
heard that. You heard that. You heard that.
I'm
You can
recording
choose-
it, mate.
you
He's
can
committed
choose
that
whatever-
to tape.
You can choose whatever Jordans, whatever you want. And
Oh
I'll
my
pay.
God.
But how about that? We'll go
Yeah,
with that.
Jack, I'll
That's
take
a
that
deal.
back.
You got £150 limit.
Okay.
And if Arsenal finish above Spurs, I will personally purchase size 13 Jordans for you. That's how confident I
I'll
am.
take.
Although
I'll-
Sam has sued, I think, 3 times whilst we've been on this call.
Oh
So
no!
Yeah.
it's not looking good.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, another one we've got then for you. Have you got a favourite? Is there a standout Storm memory, or is it just there's too many? It's like a collection of memories you can't really think of. Is there just one thing that is just like the pinnacle of it all?
Yeah, obviously winning the cup in 2018 was a huge one because it was the first sort of big bit of silverware we got. That's definitely up there. That was fantastic when we all went down to London for that. We had an unbelievable. Rob, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, that was
We had a
that was the
crazy-
year we hit. That was the same year as the playoffs, wasn't it? When
same year as
Rob Youngblood was
That's right.
coaching, and AJ had a
AJ,
top
yeah.
season that season.
That
didn't he?
was incredible. That was actually a really good year, although obviously it didn't finish again quite as how we wanted it to. But that's definitely up there. There's been a number of home games over the last 7 years, like a lot of home games where the games have been really tight, and it's there's it's all, the fans have been so loud and atmosphere's been crazy. Playing in some of those games, they're always in the memory. They've been fantastic. There's been a couple of games where there was one game, I can't remember who we were playing. I feel like it was Nottingham or something like that. And I hit a shot to tie the game with a couple of seconds left, and we went on to overtime to win it. I think Bodie had like 9 in overtime. We won the game, and I just remember that feeling of hitting that shot and the crowd getting involved. So there's definitely a bunch of games that I would say are been great memories, and winning the cup in 2018. Yeah, that definitely stands out. And obviously, even though we haven't been on the right side of the scoreboard in some of the finals, all the finals have been, even last year was a good memory for most of it. Like coming back in the moments until we lost, unbelievable memories. Like watching that back at that point when we were coming back and things like that, like the feelings and stuff like that. It's different level. But I'm hoping this year is going to be full of I can forget all of those memories, and the main ones will be this year.
See, I said to these guys before. Obviously, we've been to 3 playoff finals. Obviously, there was the one during COVID, and last year in the Worthing one, and we played in orange. And in that cup final, we played in black. So I've kind of said to these guys, I hope in the Kit King Trophy final we're playing in black.
Yeah. I think we should. I don't
weird.
know how it works exactly, but I'm pretty sure like either the team that's got the biggest like points difference, which should be us because of the semi-final. I don't know how they determine that. It might be random. But hopefully, and Worthing don't play in black this year, I don't think. From what I've seen.
No, they haven't been.
I don't know if they play in black. So it's a great opportunity for us to get black kit out. And I prefer the black kit as well.
Yeah, I've always said it's more slimming. So
yeah, I'd like to see eventually like a bit of an out there kit.
Oh, Jack,
you just
come on,
Jack.
Jack. You're talking my language now. Let's go for it. Let's get into this. Another style of jersey. Let's do it.
So the crazy thing is, right, and I'm sure they won't mind me saying this. So about 3 or 4 years ago, Kappa, who are our current kit, and all that, through someone else, they sort of fell into my lap through Russell Hooves, and we managed to get a deal with them for like a crazy deal, like almost you couldn't say no sort of situation. And then the kit we had before that, this is just personal preference, but I'm sure there'll be a bunch of ex-players that will vouch for it. The kit we had before that was not very nice, as into playing. Material, they got it from like China and it took ages to come and all this sort of stuff. And I said to the club, I said to Carol and all those guys, like, I currently have a crazy deal with Kappa. Let me see if we can get the same situation for Storm. Like, I don't care about anything about re-signing. I don't care about getting paid this, whatever you want to talk about. I want to sort out the kit. And they obviously let me. And then since then, we've had the Kappa kit and all of it, the tracks, everything's so much nicer. It looks nicer to play in. But I still think that we can go above and beyond with the kit. I know they have to please. I know they have to please the Vanarama with the colours and stuff like that. But I think there's like, because the BBL were obviously sponsored by Kappa, and you see some of their kits are all personalised designs. I think it is a little bit more expensive, but I know they do all that. So I'm hoping at some point we can get an out there kit.
Oh,
just for
yes,
Fraz.
please, Jack. Yes, please. You're preaching to the converted here. I've been saying this for a long, long time. There's a guy called James Piper who's big in Twitter, and he's come out with all these concept jerseys for NBL teams, for BBL teams, and they are superb. Yeah, he did a Storm one. I posted it. It's black and orange. It's predominantly black, I think, but there's like a smattering of orange on it, and it's brilliant. Absolutely. I might post it again tomorrow. I'll send it to you.
Every week, Fraz, you post up jerseys.
Yeah, I might do. Yeah,
constant.
Jack, you know how really, really bad comedians set people in the crowd to ask them, like, heckle them? Did Fraz set you up for this?
Come on, we haven't even talked about this.
No, generally he hasn't.
No,
I only feel like this because I've been helping sort the kit out and stuff like that, and because I get everything sent to me through Kappa, and I have a meeting with my Kappa contact every summer just to catch up and about new products that they're bringing out. And he sat down with me in the summer and said, "Look, they're doing this bespoke kit thing in the BBL. Like, why don't Storm take it up?" And yeah, it was like a kid at Christmas when he said that. But unfortunately, we've had to go a certain route at the moment because of sponsors and stuff like that, which is fine. Still a nice kit, but that's also in the back of my mind with the final. I want an out there kit.
A special kit just for that final.
Yeah,
that would be class. I'm with you there on that one. The final kit.
They did
superb. Yeah, I'll have to send you that image, Jack, from that James Piper.
Send it to me.
That's really. It looks really, really good, and it was met really favourably actually. When
maybe me and Fraz can set up a petition for the fans and Carol and all that. To see if
I'm there.
Do it.
Or maybe like come up with a few different designs, or speak to some people and then put them out there and say, look, would you be interested in this sort of going forward, or what do you think of that one? Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I'm all for it.
I'm there. Just say the word.
You have very plain trainers underneath it, right? Fancy kit, plain trainers.
Yeah, 20 quid pair of basketball
sneakers. Get me a multicolored pair. If you can get me a multicolored pair of basketball shoes for less than $25 in New York, Rishi, I'll wear them the whole season.
I've got a feeling with what's happened with the currency, it's probably a little bit more expensive than it used to be.
Exactly.
Also, Jack, I've just had a look at the football score and the stats. I'd probably retract your offer to Brad's.
What's the score, Rob?
Well, I looked a few. It was 2-0, and Man United have had 28 shots.
Oh right, okay. Hang on, I'm just gonna have a quick look on the Foot Locker website.
Yeah, just start having a little browse. Good work.
It's finished 2-0.
Hang on a minute. These Jordans look quite nice.
Yeah, they
it's a long
had,
season. It's a long season.
Yeah,
they had
exactly.
they had 28 shots, 10 on target, and we had 9 shots, 2 on target.
Is it game over?
Yeah, it's just finished.
Oh,
Now,
we
I've,
did.
now I've got to go and deal with Sam. Can we just stay
Would you-
on all night?
Yeah, I was going to say,
just
stay on
Yeah.
late. Let Sam go to sleep, and then
Yeah,
we can
this
finish.
will turn in.
I'd
This will
just talk about jerseys and Jordans for another 3 hours. It'd be fine.
Yeah. It's fine by me. Yeah.
Oh, God.
It'll turn into podcast, the director's cut, won't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, I think we've got a few more questions. I think.
Yeah,
Before we,
so
finally finish. So.
Obviously the Storm Dome is we all see it as like by far the best place to watch a game. But if you had to pick like one of the away arenas, where do you most enjoy going to play?
Obviously Worthing's always a good one because they have a similar setup to us. They're a loud fan base like our lot as well, which is makes it a bit more fun, and the atmospheres are all really good. Derby as well, they have a good setup down there. Just the places that have the atmospheres. Even Reading the other week was fantastic. Like
It was good, yeah.
I thought that was great.
Obviously, you guys were there. They got a new venue, and they seem to be filling that up, and it just makes it that little bit more engaging as a player. Like, you go to some places, and there's more Storm fans than there are home fans, and although that's really good from our point of view, but it is a little bit different when you're trying to get into a game, and like playing at home games, like it's almost impossible to not be motivated because you've just got the atmosphere there, and you've got that support. Like you can't not be motivated, or you can't mope about in that atmosphere. It helps be ready for 100%. But yeah, I'd say other teams, Worthing, Reading, Derby, are probably the main ones. I think Manchester might be getting a good following this year. They've come up from Division 2, which would be good. Yeah, I think off the top of my head, they're the main teams I look forward to playing against in terms of crowd.
I've been to Reading once before that and completely forgot there was a different place. Do you think that where we played the other week was better than where they played previously?
Yeah, obviously in terms of like the court and all that, it looks pretty brand new. I think the place that they played over the last forever, Rivermead, I think we just got a bit dated. It was not falling apart, but I think it was just they needed to move on from that. So they're obviously in a brand new facility, brand new seating, brand new baskets, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was really nice venue. And the good thing about that venue, and I cannot wait to go back, is the showers were incredible. Some of these places you go to, like I went back to Barking on Sunday, and I can say this because I went there. Horrendous showers. Like there's not even enough space between them. Like you're like showering like next to it. It's just all a bit, they're cold as well. Yeah.
They're either cold or boiling hot, right?
Yeah, they're freezing cold, and they're right next. Like it's all the setups wrong. Whereas Reading it's like being in a spa. So I can't wait to go back there. Just for that.
It was a little bit like
wait, I don't think, is it, for Reading?
Next week, a week after next, isn't it?
Yeah, next 30th, isn't it?
Yeah.
Had a bit of a similar feel to Everyone Active when you walked, nice little sort of family sports centre type place.
Sports centre type feel, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They do a good job down there. There's some good guys work down there that I've been alongside over the years. Matt Johnson, who's there, he's one of the chairmen. He helps run the club, and Ben Fisher, who does a lot of their commentary. You would have seen him on their commentary for the men's games. But I have really good relationships with them. In fact, going back to coaching a little bit, when myself and PJ got involved with the regional coaching, Matt Johnson was actually sort of monitoring us and supporting us, which was quite cool. Because we've had a relationship where I've just played against Reading, and it's been a bit of rivalry. So that was quite cool having a bit of a different relationship with him. He was almost little bit of a mentor for us. Like he was giving us feedback and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And then that's the good thing about basketball in general. Like you go and play against these other teams, and you play against players that you played against over the years, or you're sometimes playing against friends and coaches that have coached you or stuff like that. It's all quite a good environment. Like it's all quite friendly. I know, obviously, when it comes to the game, you're going out to win no matter what, and they're not your friends. But it does keep, after the game, when it's said and done, the basketball environment is very good like that, especially in our league. Everyone's pretty, close when it comes to off the court, which is good. It's how you want it to be. Until the tip off happens, then it's nitty gritty, and you're going out to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, but play to win. But then it is a community, isn't it? And I think the kids pick up on that as well, because it feels like, it's not like a booing atmosphere. It's much more you just encourage, don't you? And,
exactly. You might get a bit of that every now and then, but that's just sport in general, isn't it? It doesn't matter what sport you're playing. It's going to be a bit of that.
It's normally the referees that get booed rather than position teams.
Yeah, exactly.
No, to be fair, Rob, it's normally you booing the referees.
They've normally got their bum in my face for a free throw. So what am I meant to do?
Well, you will sit courtside.
What's that?
No, I said he will sit courtside.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he moans about it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if you can boo Tom Ward when we play them at home, that would make my year.
We'll do that.
That'd be incredible. Number 5, he wears for Worthing. That's incredible.
And all of the 9 people that listen to this will do that as well.
Yeah, hopefully. all nine of you watching, please.
We'll have loads more this time. It'll be jersey designers. We'll have tons of them. Don't worry.
No, it's all good fun. It's all good fun.
Can I just throw a quick question in before I think Rish was going to ask another one after this? We asked Taylor this question. Do you find it easy to sort of get up for games? Can you motivate yourself?
Yeah, I can, obviously running business and working during the week and doing a bunch of other stuff. Obviously, your mind's not always on it. And then I always feel like when I wake up on a Friday, it's always a different feeling. I'm not in weekend mode quite yet, but I'm almost already thinking games tomorrow. And I sort of get a different feel. I always have a good Friday because I know I've got games at the weekend. And then that build up of getting ready for the game is always, you're really starting to think about it come Friday. So I think, that side of it, I feel a bit different. Start getting motivated. And then, like I said, home games, without a doubt, there's, you're motivated from the minute you walk in there. Because we tend to get there an hour and a half to 2 hours before our games anyway, because sometimes there's a lot of other stuff to do. Myself and Taylor have already done quite a few this year. We do birthday parties, we go and so we do a bit of coaching and see the kids and stuff like that. So there's a whole build up of stuff before a game, and you just can't, like I said previously, you can't not be motivated to play a home game. And then away games obviously sometimes can be tougher because you've got to travel. Sometimes we're traveling quite far and you've got to sit on a bus for 5 hours sometimes, or whatever it is. But, I think the difference on away games is that when you're we travel on the big coaches and stuff like that. And when you're with a team, everyone's bantering on the bus and talking and whatever. And I think that sort of gets you motivated a little bit as well. And then, obviously doing the pre-game stuff that myself and Taylor do, that's part of it as well to get motivated. And then that's it. Once I'm there, it's all in.
Yeah, you said about birthday parties then. I've got a big birthday next year. Do you think they do an adult party?
Absolutely.
But I get to run out with a player.
I can set that up for you, but it might cost you 150 quid.
Thanks, Jack. That's very reasonable.
Absolutely, I can. Yeah, we can sort that out. We can.
I just want to see. I want to see you run out holding Jack's hand, Prez. Talking about before the games and stuff, do you have a particular go-to meal or food that you eat, in the build-up?
Kind of, yeah. I normally, like at weekends, I normally prep like chicken, rice, and broccoli. That's my go-to. That's normally what I have on the weekends, although I've had it Monday, Tuesday, and tonight. So I guess that's what I live off at the moment. But definitely on game days, I'll try and make sure that I prep that the night before, so I've got it for the games. And obviously, it's easy for home games, especially living in Hemel. It takes me 2 minutes to get to the gym, so I can just prep, cook it, and eat it on the day. I try and time everything so that it's right. I always have a coffee on game day. So that's that. If there's ever a ritual, if I don't have a coffee on game day, I'm not there mentally. Don't know what it is.
You mean right before the game, or you mean in the morning?
In the morning, like not necessarily first thing when I wake up, but definitely if we're playing at 7, between 11 and 12, I'm having a coffee. I don't know what it is.
You don't normally drink coffee then?
No, I do, but not like all the time. I'm not one of those everyday coffee drinkers. I drink tea, but game day coffee, and in fact, it definitely works because I don't know if you guys remember, but not last year, the year before, the COVID year, Greg had 46 against Derby when we played them away, and that was his first ever coffee in his lifetime. And ever since that day, we got him having a coffee every game because he went out that game and had 46.
Do you know what he drank? Just out of interest. I could do one of those.
I think he drank like an Americano or something like that. But I've tried to say it to him all year. I was like, dude, just try one coffee on game day. Just even if it's like a mind thing, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it might not even do anything, but it's in my mind. If I've had it, I sort of feel like I've done part of my prep. Do you know what I mean? As such, it's like when they say, but I said to Greg, just try it, and he tried it and had 46 against Derby, and ever since then, I was forcing coffee down him for the rest of the year.
So if we're ever at home and we're getting beat at half time, do we need to go out into the cafe and bring some espresso shots in?
Come and put it next to the bench. That'd be perfect.
Put it in your water bowl.
Yeah, just go and fill it up.
So finally, I don't know why this just came into my head, but we're talking about like pre-game meals and stuff. There was, I think it was in the team when we won the National Cup. Was it Courtney Van Beest used to sit on the bench and eat popcorn while he was sitting on the bench?
No. We had a few odd guys that year. We had Courtney who would eat popcorn prior, during, after the game, and then we had Wayne who would come in the biggest, like one of them massive 5-litre water bowls with about 17 lemons in it, full of water, and he'd prep that every game. So God knows how many lemons. If there was ever a shortage of lemons, there was ever a shortage of lemons in Hemel, it was because of him, because he'd chop up 18 lemons and put them in there. But yeah, people have different stuff. One thing Taylor got me on last year, I don't think we've done it this year yet. Don't know if you've heard of it, beet juice.
Is that beetroot juice?
Beetroot juice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get like a little shot of beetroot juice. It's basically like he got me doing that last year, and come game time, sometimes I was off my rocks. So it was brilliant. I was buzzing after a coffee and a bit of beet juice. Like you can't not be ready to play at that point.
That just sounds disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Isn't it just like drinking vinegar?
It is awful. Absolutely awful. But it helps. I've noticed Charles does this year. Charles has been drinking beet juice this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it is literally just beet juice. It's not got any, just in case there's any like Basketball England drug testers. It's just a shot of beet juice. It's awful.
Just out of interest, Taylor doesn't own like a company on the side, does he, or anything?
Well, if he does, he's making good money out of it. Holland and Barrett. That's Taylor's company.
Oh, okay.
Holland and Barrett.
Holland Barrett.
He may as well have shares in it.
Yeah. Just one more random one I'll chuck in there. We spoke to Michael Darlow about this, about Storm implementing some form of sort of run out music.
What for the names?
Yeah. Like turn the light. I mean, like at the final, the NBL final, you turn the lights off. Don't mean to, run out for a tunnel or anything like that. I mean, because he said about potentially coming out through the other side door down by where the bench is. Dim the lights or something, and then just put a spotlight on it, and then run out music. Just helps sort of elevate the atmosphere, doesn't it?
I think the lighting allows that in there. I think there is. I think if I know right, if I remember rightly, excuse me, there is like you could make that happen. That would be pretty cool.
Is there any sort of music you'd like to? Sorry,
no, I was asking exactly the same thing. Sorry, Fraz. What song would you pick?
I've just been trying to think of it for the last couple of minutes, but the one that Spurs come, this one that Spurs come out to at the start of their game. If you went to the game the other week.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is.
And I'm trying to remember what it is. But
I'd probably still be in the toilet at that point.
And I'd be pointing Rishi in the stands whilst they come out every game, kissing the jersey.
Exactly.
We used to do a thing, right? And I tried to get this going this year and no one bought into it. A couple of seasons ago, and I think Waleed started it, we used to have a clap that everyone in the gym, you might remember, used to do. As soon as they had finished announcing like the away team, the whole crowd, the whole team, everyone would get a clap going. And we don't do it anymore. And I tried at the first home game and I was just there by myself and I just gave up in the end. And I feel like we should get that back.
Yeah, because it's not just a clap, 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 clap.
Oh, it's like a ribbon clap.
Yeah, I remember that. Some people still do it.
Yeah, some people do. The drummers do it as well. But I feel like if we got everyone doing that again, that's enough.
What is really effective, I think, is it the Icelandic football team, their fans, they do that slow clap.
Oh, yeah.
And then it just builds up.
That would be awesome.
And it just builds up to this massive crescendo. That might work.
Fraz, you got to get up there, man, and get the whole crowd going. Find a way.
To be fair, once I've climbed upstairs, I'm normally out of breath.
I haven't heard any of the songs yet either that were posted in the summer.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a bit hard when it's just one of us singing it.
I feel like we need to get some megaphones in there, get you three on the mic.
I think they'd probably work better starting them off at away games because that's when we've got the opportunity to all sit together. Because the minute we're all seasons ago, but we're all spread out across various stands, and it's harder to sort of coordinate it. So I think if we were starting off at away games,
you guys are on the commentary soon, aren't you?
No, that was going to be for the semi-final, but it was an away.
We dodged a bullet there.
We missed it. Yeah. But we could get those guys to help with playing the music, right? That might help with the chance.
Yeah,
it's like the old Hakeem's on Fire one. That's gone down really well with fans. Get that, just play, play that song, and then that gets everyone going. And then the old, the White Stripes, Seven Nation Army for the old Charles Aqua Davis one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all we've got to do is just get it going.
I'm all for the entertainment. I love integrating with the crowd.
It's brilliant. You look at how they do it in the NBA and stuff.
I'll get a bit of inspiration on Monday and let you know.
Yeah. Rishi, come back with some ideas. We'll get back on the podcast.
Well, I can see you're one of the biggest hype men in the team. You're whipping the towel around and stuff. And
I try to, yeah. I don't know. That's another thing that keeps me engaged and keeps me going. Like just before I check in normally, because obviously I don't start. Just getting a bit of hype on the bench, and I'm missing Bernard at the moment. Bernard was great help at the start.
Yeah. We posted about that on the Instagram account, saying he's become like a really good hype man for Storm.
It's just me and Charles at the moment, just screaming on the sideline. I actually got a technical foul in Loughborough for celebrating. The referees were on it. Like we weren't even allowed to stand up and clap.
Yeah, but we talked about this in our group that a lot of the Loughborough bench they were up and nothing sort of happened really. I don't think there was a level of consistency there.
It was terrible, yeah. I got down for it, but I'm going to keep doing it, so they have to figure it out.
Fair enough.
Good man.
I've often wondered actually, can the fans give away a technical foul?
No, they can't. But they can be asked to be removed. At the referee's.
So booing the referee will be all right still.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I mean, it's like any other sport. Like you go to Spurs or Arsenal, there's fans constantly shouting like, they can't really in our crowd at Hemel. Like if there was 6 people, then they could probably single someone out and say, right, you got to get out. But they can't really do that at our games. So boo as much as you want. I'm there for it. I'm right behind you. But in a more professional way.
There you go.
In a more professional way.
Particularly if we start booing Tom Ward when we play Worthing.
Exactly, yeah.
You're well
I'll
on
be up.
Yeah.
I'll be up.
It. Jack, you've committed quite a lot to tape tonight. You really have.
Yeah.
There you go. I'd expect an email tomorrow if I were you. From the powers that be. Right, I think we've got one last question because I'm very aware that we've taken up a lot of your time. I've just looked at the time and we've been chatting nearly 2 hours.
If Spurs had won 3-0, I'd feel a bit, but we can stay on all night now because I've got to walk out to Sam.
Oh, no, you can hear Sam snoring.
I think we should end it soon. She should go and watch the highlights. Who's going to take the last one then, Jack? Which is our customary last question. We fire off.
I'll do it. So we have asked Michael and Taylor as well, and we're kind of going to keep a tally over the season. What's your favourite basketball film?
Ooh, has to be Coach Carter.
That's what Michael said.
That's Michael said that. Yeah,
has to be Coach Carter. Or I don't think it counts as a film, but The Last Dance.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
You can't really count that as a film, can you? As a series.
No. But it's good documentary.
It's good though, yeah.
Sometimes I'll like before a game I'll put an episode on. Just because that's it's just so motivating and stuff like that. Just sit there and watch it. Me and Greg watched that about 17 times. So I feel like I'm Michael Jordan.
Which leads me on to another point. Well, looping back to the run out music, I've said about using the Chicago Bulls intro music.
Oh,
they
really?
run out to, which is quite iconic in the NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't actually know. I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, no, you can get it on YouTube or Spotify or anything. But yeah, it just really pumps you up. There's just something about it.
Yeah.
Could be worth it anyway. But yeah.
Something.
Yeah, well, Jack, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it.
Really good fun. Appreciate it.
Don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add, or Jack wants to say anything else, or
no, just thanks for having me on. Obviously, as of today, we're undefeated and heading in the right direction. So hopefully we can keep it up. We're going to get Romario integrated this week. Hopefully we'll get Bernard back soon as well. And then just looking forward. Keep
good stuff.
Foot on the gas pedal is the motto this year.
Love it.
Yeah, don't let up.
Don't let up.
It's great to have you on, Jack. It was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack. Really appreciate your time.
No worries.
Right.
Well, we'll see you on Saturday then.
Yeah, Saturday is Rishi. Have a good time in New York.
Thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it. I'll let you know what it's all about when I come back. My Instagram's going to blow up, so enjoy that.
You can find a pair of shoes at any color, any make under $25,
right?
Bring them back, and I'll give you the $25.
Or potentially, you could bring back a £150 pair of Jordans in a size 13. just to hold them,
There is a sneaker store that have unique versions of trainers, Jordans and stuff like that. So we're going to head past there.
You can send
we might come back with something special for Max.
Yeah, send some ideas to Fraz just to keep him entertained by it, because
I suppose
then he has a big down point at the end of the season.
On the left one, you could get printed Arsenal third, and on the right one, you get Tottenham fourth.
I've got in my head now, I've got this image of Rishi turning up at the next home Storm game with a pair of Uggs for you. These were only $24.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever
You can
you
still-
come back with, I'm wearing.
You can still shoot threes in them. That's fine.
Exactly.
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 Yeah.
Without a
The
doubt.
new Jack Burnell endorsed Uggs.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jack.
No worries.
It's been great fun.
Thanks very
Really
much,
enjoyed
Pleasure
it.
having you on, Jack.
See
Brilliant.
you on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks,
Saturday,
Jack.
mate.
Take care.
Take care.
See you
Cheers.
later.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.